Hello, and welcome back to Helluva Podcast. I'm Alex.
I'm Audie, the O is silent.
Today we are talking about the circus again, and we are going to try to go so fast through this. We have 7 pages of notes. For reference, our last episode was 2 or 3 pages?
It's like 2.5 pages of notes.
And it took us like an hour and a half. We're going to try to do this in under 2 hours, or maybe a little more than 2 hours.
Yeah.
In that ballpark.
We're just gonna go hard. We're gonna go bam, 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 bam. Try and get through all of it. So that this can be a 2-parter and not a 3-parter like Truth Seekers was. So let's just get straight into it. Starting with Little Blitz and Stolas.
Yeah, for those of you who haven't, listened to the first part, because we're just going to go right into where we left off. And that is when Blitz gets to Stolas' house.
Yes.
When they're little kids.
Mm-hmm.
So they get, Blitz gets there, it's really awkward. Stolas is so excited.
He's so freaking hyped.
To see a little friend, and he bows.
He bows, which... We'll talk about that parallel later, I guess. Or no, that's in Aussies?
Yeah, that's in Aussies.
Oh, never mind. Then let's talk about it now. How at Aussies, when Blitz is pulling away in his car, Stolas goes, "Good night, Blitz," and he bows.
Yeah.
And it's just like when they're kids.
Yeah.
And at this part, his dad literally smacks him on the head and says, "He bows to us, idiot."
Yeah, and you, I think, mentioned that this is probably how Stolas greets everybody. He doesn't really leave the castle.
Yeah. He's probably never met someone he wasn't supposed to bow to before.
Right, he's not met someone who isn't superior to him, except for maybe, his nanny and, the servants. But he doesn't probably greet them, really.
Yeah. And also, with his dad smacking him on the head, we see, Blitz's reaction to, I feel like they just immediately look at each other and they, clock or, I don't know if Stolas clocks what the issue is at this stage, but Blitz sees Stolas' dad hit him on the head and, rips his own arm out of his dad's grasp, and he's like, me and this kid maybe have something in common.
Yeah, and I don't know that they even, conceptually understand that it's wrong.
Yeah.
I think they might just be like, oh yeah, dads, am I right?
Yeah.
Your dad's silly too.
Yeah.
You don't like your dad either. And yeah, I do think that immediately makes them bond, and Blitz kind of is okay, this is a little better,
Yeah.
than some random kid.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I had one more thing to say.
With
the bowing.
Mm-hmm.
So another thing too, I wonder if he's been socialized to believe that people that he cares for and respects, you bow to.
Yeah.
And he's really excited to meet Blitz.
Yeah.
So he bows to him because he's excited to meet him.
Yeah. Baby's first encounter with classism.
Yeah, especially because he just saw a performance. He probably thinks he's cool shit. He probably thinks he's cooler than him.
Yeah. And especially, probably the only imp he knows... Oh my god, I have to sneeze.
Bless you.
Thank you. The only imp he knows, probably, at this point, is his nanny. And, maybe other servants around the house, but the only one he really knows is the nanny guy. Mm-hmm. And, he I don't know, I'd be interested to know more about what kind of dynamic they have, but, I don't... That's more of, that's a caretaker, so it's not just, someone who, works for him, and, he doesn't, he respects him in a way, too, even if he's maybe not supposed to.
But I think also he wouldn't bow to him ever.
Yeah.
He just...
Because he's sort of like a parent figure at that point.
If he was going to give a term of affection when meeting him, he would probably hug him. You
know?
Yeah. So, I don't think... Yeah.
Yeah.
The next thing we have is Stolas in his books and his autism.
He's so autistic.
This has Little Baby Autism Part 2. I don't really remember what the first one was. It must have been Blitz.
Maybe. Blitz with the horses.
Yeah, but I think there's multiple of these throughout, so I just wanted to say we're on number 2.
Yeah, Little Baby Autism. Keep track at home, kids. Also, they're both so autistic, but the autism clashes so much. Blitz is so fucking bored out of his mind here, fully yawns.
Is plants and herbs.
This is my book about plants and herbs! Or herbs, because he's British.
And all sorts of stuff that he just... like nature and stuff, and then Blitz is all pirates and horses and rough and tough. Horses aren't rough and tough, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah,
he grew up with some more outdoorsy, hands-on, getting his hands dirty.
Yeah.
also Blitz's pirate special interest, which we don't see that in the present day.
Yeah.
The horses has been a lifelong obsession, but...
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of autistic people have those. Like, I definitely had special interests as a kid that I don't have now, but there are some that are still there.
Yeah, totally.
And I feel like animals, too, is, like, one that usually stays.
Yeah.
So...
I've always loved bats.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that comes from a book series. Read The Underland Chronicles by Suzanne Collins, but, yeah, the horses make sense.
Yeah. But I know people that will be obsessed with an animal when they're really young, and then they're just still obsessed, like, especially, like, autistic people. Yeah.
I mean, you aren't born into a circus with horses that you're in for the first, like, 16 years of your life, and then not be obsessed with horses for the rest of your life.
But you can be not as obsessed.
Yes.
You can be like Fizz, who just appreciates them.
Yeah. Not everyone is full Blitz energy.
Yeah. But... Yeah, but the pirate one is just with the Fizz thing, if you talk about pirates again, I will punch you.
Yes.
It seems like it's maybe it's just annoyingly present in this moment, which kids also do, which is really funny.
Maybe this is like we just get a brief glimpse into this hyperfixation period where pirates are the thing, but maybe next week it'll be like astronauts. Yeah. If they have those in hell.
I don't think they have those.
Do they have pirates in hell? I mean, they have an ocean canonically.
Yeah, maybe he
Rest
saw,
in peace, Moxie's mom.
Why would you say that?
We'll get there.
Maybe he saw one single book, pirate story, and lost his fucking mind.
True.
Or, like, he's a circus baby. Maybe there was a circus act that was pirates.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of those.
Yeah. Anyway, hard pivot back into classism and racism, sort of.
Yeah.
With,
like... Is this an imp game?
Is this an imp game? When Blitz is like, we'll pretend we are pirates and steal all the nicest things. And Stolas is like,
is this an imp game?
An imp game? Gives...
This is so exotic.
Yeah, gives exoticization?
Exoticism?
I think exoticization is a word, because I wrote it in my essay, and my Google Doc didn't correct it, and I was like, really? That was right? Okay.
You're probably right, I don't know.
I was shocked that was a word, so, but anyway.
That's what it's giving.
Yeah. But yeah, Stolas just a little baby at this point, and does want to genuinely, like, learn more about Blitz and the world, but also he's grown up as royalty and as, like, Ogoisha, and it shows,
Yeah.
And it's really interesting seeing them as kids, and then, like, him grown up, where, like... Because it's still very much present in a lot of ways, and I'm so excited to get into the nitty-gritty of that more.
Another thing I do want to mention, I did decide to scrap it from this episode as a theory just because it would take way too much time. But there's not a lot of discourse. There's like 2 videos I've seen ever. But I have a lot of discourse in my brain about how Stella and Stolas are portrayed completely differently, but have a lot of the same things. Like, a lot of things that people hate about Stella are also prevalent in Stolas, and that does have to do a lot with, like, class and stuff like that. And so if y'all ever want, like, a little bonus or me to talk about that in a separate episode, I have a lot of things about that and how, like, that really shows Vivzy just hating women. And
also fans hating women. Like, yeah.
But it fundamentally, I think, does come down a lot to the portrayal, though.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, it's also, like, Stella's just meant to be, like, not a pleasant person.
Right.
But
you have a lot of sympathy for Stolas.
Yes.
Like a lot. Like, and you should, but there's some ways that it's, like, you don't really get anything other than sympathy.
Totally.
From him.
I do think... I mean, I would be shocked if the show doesn't lean more into those things about himself that he needs to address. Like, I think it will get there, but
I hope so.
I feel like there are a lot of things about this show where it's like, oh, it'll get there eventually. And it's like, some of it, you should... I don't know.
We need to get to some of it soon.
Yeah, or else, like, you can't defend things for very long.
But again, I'm not going to get super into that. I just wanted to note it, because I know it's a...
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm trying to open a window, and it's...
freaking warm in here.
It's so warm in here. I'm on the top floor of a dorm building, and it's so fucking warm. But anyway, I wanted to talk about it because I know there's discourse, and I know that with the circus, it's probably going to be one of those things that people talk about.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Cool. Also, Blitz comes up with this little pirate game so fast, and it's like, I mean... because, like, he was told, like, right before coming here, basically, like, his dad was like, hey, you're gonna go to this Goetia family's house and you're gonna steal shit from them. So, like, he could have been, like, thinking about this a little bit, like, how am I gonna steal from these rich bastards? Mm-hmm. But also, like, he's a kid, and he's just immediately like, let's pretend we're pirates and steal all the nice things. Like, so smart, and it's so sad that he has to be so smart that fast.
Yeah, it leads me to wonder if he is, like, that smart because he's had to do this before, or if he's been in different situations that make him have to think on his feet.
Yeah.
I think they can hear the wind.
I wasn't sure,
yeah, sorry for the random windows and stuff. I'm going to leave it just a crack open so we can't hear the wind.
Yeah.
I opened for context for the listeners, I opened the video track to see if you could see the lines of the wind audio. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
We're doing so good at staying on track.
We're doing so good. Yeah. Yeah, I think that the stealing is maybe, like, a newer thing to him at this point, just because, like, when his dad is like, you're gonna steal from them, it doesn't give the impression that he's done something like this before. He's like, steal? But why? Like, no, that's bad. Mm-hmm. So I think definitely he's done similar stuff at this point, but also, we'll get into the timeline at the end of this episode, but, like, we theorized that they're about, like, age 6-ish here, so he's probably, like, I mean, his dad sucks, but it's probably only been very recently that he's been sent on these little things and stuff, you know?
It just makes me wonder, like, was there smaller dirty work that led up to this, especially with the circus? Like, is there inner circus stuff that he has to do that seems more normal?
Yeah.
And also I think it really relates to his work in IMP.
Yeah.
Not the fucking, when you're good at something, capitalize on it. I know that has to do with killing, but...
Yeah.
Prevalent here, I feel. Also, that he's just so quick on his feet. He's able to get himself out of basically any fucking situation. That's why Truth Seekers was such a thing.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think just generally this was a very pivotal moment for Blitz. And that also makes me think if this was a pivotal moment for him in his life, then he remembers it later and goes to Stolas.
I just had a thought.
Yeah.
I would imagine that, because you said, like, when you're good at something, you should probably capitalize, like, we wrote, like, that's not, like, fully related, but I think, actually, it very much is, because, like, I imagine, like, Blitz did a good job here. He stole a shit ton of stuff, and even getting, like, the tiniest bit of praise from his dad at that, not that maybe he wouldn't have directly been like, you know, good job. He wouldn't be like, I'm proud of you, son. He'd just be like, look at all this shit, and then Blitz would be like, oh, I did it right. And then his dad probably... I want to know the extent of what his dad made him do as he got older and older, because I feel like that could very much be directly what he's referencing with the when you're good at something, you should capitalize. Yeah,
I would love to learn more about, like, exact stuff. I think also he is partially referencing, like, how he was protective of Fizz and probably Barbie.
Yeah.
But especially we've seen it with Fizz, and, like, he's so ready, like, even as a teenager, he's so ready to literally kill these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, has he killed someone in protection? And is that what when you're good at something, capitalize it, doing with the killing? Was that first time to protect someone or for a good cause?
Yeah.
As opposed to now.
I think we also talked about, I think you brought this up, that it could be in reference to the circus fire, how he killed his mom. And probably others.
Which, that would be such a crazy way to joke about your trauma, but honestly,
he
so
would.
based.
He so would, though. Well, when you're good at something, you should probably capitalize. Guy who definitely killed his own mom on accident.
Guy who literally blew up his mommy.
Guy who literally blew up his mommy and, like, destroyed all of his best friend's limbs.
Guy who doesn't have any trauma. Guy who doesn't need to go to therapy. Guy
who is not filled with survivor's guilt.
Anyway, hard pivot.
Plants.
Stolas says, plants can hear you.
Yeah, he's like, did you know that plants can hear you?
So Stolas has always loved plants. I think, again, going back to, like, special interest as a child going forward, I think this has been his forever.
Yes. Oh, yes. we see plants in the background all the time in his house, and it's, like, always the same ones. Like, maybe it's even, like, the exact same ones that he's been taking care of since he was young.
Yeah.
And, like, yeah, it's cute.
I also just want, side note about my life, I just, as of last year, learned what the word botany means. And so when I first watched this, and it was, like, botany books, I was like, what the fuck is that?
What the fuck is that?
But then when I worked at a library, someone asked me for a botany book, and I was like, a what? Because I looked up botany, and I was like, there is nothing. And then they were like, plants, Alex. Look up plants. And I was like, fuck. But anyway, he probably started talking to them when he was young.
Yes.
And so that means it's been, like, a coping mechanism for him since he was a kid.
Probably the only thing that has, like, fully listened to him while he talks. Like, maybe his nanny guy dude.
But he has to instill stuff like, the excitement is unbecoming. Like, he has to instill certain rules and stuff. So, like, he probably listens, but he's probably allowed to cry to these plants.
Yeah.
And he's probably not allowed to cry to his nanny.
Yeah. God.
Also...
Didn't have any friends.
Yeah, he didn't have any friends. Also, baby's first audio diary.
True! Me and my voice memos, like, I'm just so... Stole this for real. Yeah. I like that you wrote, he didn't have any friends. Next bullet point, he still doesn't have any friends.
It's true.
It is. He's got, like, a fuck buddy and his daughter.
He's besties with his daughter, though.
He is.
Not really.
Yeah.
But it's closest he has, and that's sad.
Yeah. Oh, and then, this is regarding the end of this episode, post-Ozzy's, when he, like, wakes up on the ground next to the plants and they're all wilting and stuff, implying that, like, they're sad almost because of what he was saying, or...
So it's either something he was saying, which I could 100% see him as a, like, rambling, like, everything sucks and, like, I'm horrible and, like, all this stuff.
Yeah. Blitzy doesn't want me.
Yeah. But I could also see it as them possibly somehow being tied to his emotions.
Yeah. Like an E.T. style relationship.
Right. Well, he's magic, and I think plants are part of his magic.
Yeah.
So it would make sense.
It does,
but also, just him talking, or even him just, like,
passing
sobbing
out on the ground, sobbing.
Yeah. His plants are like, no, please.
No, our caretaker, no.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
But that's a good detail, and it makes me fucking crazy.
It's a really good detail.
Hard pivot.
Hard pivot. No one is watching these fucking kids.
None of them.
Even the fucking nanny. There's no one to supervise.
Which I feel like possibly the nanny's leaving him alone because he knows this is the only time he's going to get to play with a friend.
Yeah.
But also leaving him alone this much that he's able to steal all of this. And that makes me wonder, did he have this nanny after that?
Interesting. Yeah. Do we see him again ever?
I don't think so. And
he's not the same servant we see later on, right?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, I didn't think so.
And I don't think... We don't get any clarity if Stolas was punished or who was punished.
Yeah.
But also, I kind of get the vibe that the nanny is just there to get this kid ready for things.
Yeah.
Like, make sure he's on his toes. He's not necessarily actually a caretaker.
Yeah.
He, like... feeds, like, make sure he eats and make sure he's ready to see his dad, and that's it.
Because Stolas probably doesn't get into much trouble before. Yeah. Like, his dad definitely doesn't care if he's, like, actually taken care of that much. He just wants to make sure he's, like, doing what he needs to do and, like, surviving, but, you know, barely. Right. So, like, if he's not causing trouble, then they're not gonna assign someone to watch him 24/7.
Right.
I'm surprised they didn't assign someone to, like, keep an eye on Blitz, though, because like, that's an imp in their home and their classist fucks, and but I don't know, I think it also goes to show, like, what is actually more important, like, their internal bias or, like, the fact that they can't be fucked to watch their kid. So, like, maybe they are, and, like, maybe immediate, like, maybe we don't know what this conversation was after. We don't know if it was like, this is what imps do. This is how you learn classism, kid. So... Yeah, maybe they even wanted that. Like, that was, like, you know, they had Blitz come over so that, to cheer Stolas up and stuff, but, like, you know, maybe that was part of the motivation also. Because, like, Paimon probably doesn't actually care that much. Like, he just wants to make sure Stolas doesn't, like, throw a fit and, like, cause any trouble.
Yeah, especially because I feel like Stolas doesn't throw fits. Like, I feel like, like, based on the way that Paimon reacted, I feel like we might have talked about this last time, but I feel like he doesn't react to anything like that. He's very, like, just neutral.
Yeah, just what he needs to do.
Yeah, and we see him do that later, too.
Yeah.
And so, I think he was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
I can't have this kid crying.
Yeah, but if he was able to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and be like, here's a friend to, like, you know, keep you company so you stop causing a whole...
Stop being a baby.
Yeah, but also, you know, maybe you'll get some hands-on experiences with why imps are fucking trash losers,
yeah,
you know?
especially because he cuddles with an imp.
Yeah,
like
a stuffed animal.
Yeah, so...
not a real one. I mean, later on, yeah.
No, a stuffed one. And so I think that could definitely be the case.
Yeah. Are you still warm? Can I close this?
Yeah, you can close it.
It got chilly.
It's, like, right behind you, so I totally get that. The fucking window. You're gonna hear all the window sounds.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But, yeah, the question of, like, the outcome of Blitz stealing all that shit, I feel like either they just have so much shit that they just never notice.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, possible.
They cleaned out an entire 2 giant cabinets, though.
They did.
Or shelves, or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I would love to know if there were any repercussions for that.
Yeah.
It was so easy for Blitz to steal all of it, too. Like his dad, even if his dad didn't admit it, he was probably like, wow, he stole all this shit. Yeah. But, like, no one gave a shit.
Yeah. And, yeah, it's... I do wonder, because, like, was it just, like, well, you should know better, or was it, like, that kid got beat for that?
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah. That kid meaning Stolas?
Yeah.
Yeah. LOL.
Anyway, hard pivot.
It's always a hard pivot with us.
But these ones are, because it's like childhood trauma. Anyway, the chandelier scene.
It's like child abuse, autism, child abuse, plants. So the chandelier scene, which is when they're like, they go into the room. It's like after the little stealing montage, and then they go into the room with the chandelier, and they like lay on the ground laughing and stuff. And there's music playing, which we come to recognize as, like, the Blitz and Stolas theme. Yes. That's what we're going to refer to it as. It plays...
Or, like, motif, whatever, yeah.
Yeah, it plays here. It plays, in a variety of other episodes. It plays in Western Energy when Stolas is, like, texting Blitz and stuff. You know, it's...
Yeah, and the hospital with the flowers.
Yeah.
Or leaves or whatever.
Yeah.
Falling.
Yeah. It's very much their motif. And it plays here in this... Is this the first time we hear it?
I think so.
It might be. Sorry if we're wrong about that. But, yeah. I don't think we've noted it before, so I think it is.
Yeah, I think it is, too.
Yeah. This is the first time we hear it. Oh!
It's very similar to Stolas' theme.
We're so wrong, because our bullet point is literally, it's the same music as the car scene in Ozzy's.
Oh, yeah, well...
That's the first time we hear it.
Yeah, I keep thinking different, because this is technically chronologically before.
Before Ozzy's.
Yeah.
In, like, the timeline of the show. But yeah, in Ozzy's, the, like, I'm not fucking you tonight scene.
It's there.
It's this music, and it's the same music as this scene when they're kids, and it's just like, how fucking dare you?
Yeah, and... Then it's later too, like we said, in the hospital.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just makes me fucking crazy.
And also throughout this episode a few times, and like at the end we'll get to that. God, Blitz is having fun. How often does he have fun? ... Being a bullet point is so funny.
I don't know if you've actually explained how we do the notes before. So we have a giant notebook that Audie hand wrote.
Yes.
And it's fucking crazy because it was while we were watching the show.
I believe it's 40 handwritten pages of notes, and that's before
the rewatch.
We rewatched recently and did more notes. And the circus alone was 10 of those 40 pages.
Yeah.
And then...
So a fourth of our notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I go in and I type it all up and I chronologicalize it.
Yeah.
And make it flow.
So that we can actually talk and sound coherent.
Yeah. So a lot of the time, Audie doesn't read them before.
Yes.
So he'll read them and be like, what the fuck? Why did you say that?
Yes. We used to collaborate on typing them more, but it's such a process.
It's such a process. And we have one notebook, so like, it's hard to do at the same time.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So the note is Blitz is having fun. ... How often does he have fun? ...
And then the next note: where did the giant ass bag go?
Where did the giant ass bag go?
It's just. I think it's just like a minor continuity error in the animation because like. I don't know, but because they collect this giant ass sack of stuff, and then Blitz just tosses this tiny little thing down to his dad, and it's like, it makes like it's just continuity.
And he
but
because he probably tossed other like. He might have, like, I feel like it's implied that he tossed the big one, too. But the thing is, how did fucking what the fuck is his name? Cash fucking dragged that back to the circus without getting noticed. Like, how did that happen?
I don't know.
Or did maybe that was just a warm-up one. Maybe that one wasn't thrown out. Maybe they didn't steal as much.
Maybe it doesn't have to make sense.
Well, no, actually, that's a really good point. Maybe he didn't actually steal all the stuff they collected. Maybe part of it was just the game. Yeah. Because he was grabbing littler stuff, like a little thing from a chandelier. They're not going to notice that. Yeah. And that was put in the little bag.
So maybe he was even smarter about it
than
so
maybe
think.
It was just that little
bag. They had that big bag for the game, and then he stole... Damn.
Yeah. And stole less noticeable stuff. Because we should... Maybe in next episode we'll note that in the very start. If we go back and watch and see what he actually puts in that little bag. But I know a piece of the chandelier is... Because he goes... Yes. And then he lays down.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say something. I have no idea what I was gonna say. Yeah. Anyway, next point.
The scene where they're at the little tree.
They're at the big tree. What a great fucking scene.
Yeah, I think, honestly, that's, like, my favorite flashback scene, is that one.
Yeah, because, I really like the moment where they first meet, with the, Stolas getting smacked on the head, that
and
moment.
The warm horse scene. I can't forget the fucking warm
horse scene. But that's with, I thought you meant Blitz's
No, I meant specific.
General. Oh, in general. Oh. No, that's true. Yeah, it's a really good scene, because up until this point, we haven't really seen them, get along, they're having a good time with, stealing stuff, but they're not really talking and getting to know each other. Yeah. This is the first time where they actually do that, and it's, so pivotal to their characters later on in the show. It just says so much about who they were at this point and who they become, and it's just, it's really good. I keep losing my place in the notes, sorry.
Did you have anything else to say on that?
On that scene?
Oh, wait, sorry.
Yes.
So, Blitz not being condescending at all about the grimoire.
Yeah.
Him just being he says, is that your diary? Just so out of face. Mama boy.
Yeah, he's such a little mama's boy.
Yeah, raised by his mama, and that also implies that his mama raised him to not be afraid of his emotions.
Yeah. I love to think that Blitz has a little diary.
Yeah.
He gets one of those...
No, Blitz is illiterate for sure.
But he goes to the Scholastic Book Fair, gets one of those journals with a lock on it.
Blitz does not go to school.
He's like, today my dad made me do this, but it's okay because me and Fizz played with our balloon animals again.
True. No, his mama, his diary. He just says it to her.
True.
But no, who has a diary? He knows what a diary is. Does Barbie have a diary?
Maybe Fizz has a diary.
Oh.
Fizz would have a diary.
Fizz would have a diary.
Dude.
And he's just so okay with it because Fizz is the coolest person ever.
Oh,
so.
I feel like Barbie also would have a diary.
Yeah.
I know maybe
they all have a diary.
And
maybe Blitz is literate at this point, but I just feel like he isn't.
Yeah.
Maybe he just draws.
He draws horses.
Yeah.
He's like picturing Stolas' diary, but his own diary is just drawings of the same horse over and over again.
He's like, there's horses in there, I need to see them.
Stapler, Biscuit Queen.
Yeah, but he's so just nice about it, which is, I feel like if he saw someone with a diary nowadays, he'd be like, fucking loser.
Fucking loser. Moxie writing in a little journal. Not even he's writing song lyrics, and Blitz is like, fucking nerd.
Fucking emotional piece of shit. Fucking,
yeah.
What are you, gay?
Actually, first of all, Dad, I am bisexual. Yeah, and then Blitz wanted his own circus, which I really, the contrast between him as a kid and, because, we've seen his dad at this point, we've seen him perform in the circus, we know it's already, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, it's, very distressing for him, but he also seems to really love it and wants to do it when he's older. But is that because it's the only life he knows, or is that because he genuinely wants it? And
I feel like it's probably he probably thinks he wants it at this point, but also he probably doesn't get out much.
Yeah.
And so it probably is one of those things. Also, he's being raised to believe that this is his whole life. Yeah. That's. I feel like every fucking time we talk about the circus, I'm always like, this is parallel to showbiz because.
Yeah.
I need to write a fucking essay about it. Thesis statement. But, yeah, that's very common for kids who grow up in performance art because it is their entire life.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so I feel like it's probably something like that.
Which I also think is why it's so important that he's saying he wants the circus, but he's also emphasizing that he's going to be able to do what he wants.
Yeah.
Like, he's still looking for control and, like, autonomy, but just he only knows how to frame it within the idea of being in the circus.
Yeah. He also probably thinks his worth is contained to the circus because that is one of the more impressive things for him to do.
Yeah.
Like, he lives in pride.
He lives in pride.
Like, that's higher class, kind of.
Ish, yeah.
Than, like, wrath imps.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so he probably does think that he's at his peak and he needs to stay here.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't see any of this type of stuff that the Goetia do as in range for him.
Yeah, definitely.
He wants his own office.
He wants his own office, which Stolas makes a great point, being like, an office for a circus? You're like, yeah, what the fuck?
I'm sure circuses have offices, but not really.
Maybe he's seen, like, his dad's office, quote-unquote. It's just, like, a separate tent.
Yeah, and also it's not gonna be a big office. With a big office, not a big office. Has he ever seen a big office?
I don't know.
Maybe he went to, like, a bank once.
Maybe. He does get an office, though, at IMP.
Yeah, not a big one.
Not a big one, but...
he gets one.
It's a decent... It's not, like, a small one. It's not a cupboard. It's a room.
It's a room, and if you're counting the whole place as an office, then it's big.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's got a big office.
The horse names.
The horse names. Stapler and Biscuit Queen are the ones I just said. Yeah.
And have horses with cool names, like
Stapler and Biscuit Queen.
Why? What are those names?
He's so fun. I love how normal the names for Banana Pudding and Worm Horse are.
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, Worm Horse makes sense. It's literally a worm horse. But do you think that Blitz or Fizz named Banana Pudding? Because it's such a Blitz name, but Fizz is the one playing with it. So do you think Blitz was like, this is Banana Pudding? And Fizz is like, why Banana Pudding? He's like, that's Banana Pudding.
I think that's exactly what happened. Do you think they were eating Banana Pudding as a snack?
Yes! I want Banana Pudding.
You know the little the puddings with the banana and the vanilla wafers?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
They, like, perform and they get a little cup of pudding.
Yeah.
They don't, but that would be cute. Don't.
Fizz does. He shares it. Oh!
This is just like our D&D campaign. Anyway.
It's just like our D&D campaign. Like this episode for another podcast about our D&D campaign.
Because everyone's going to be on board about that.
Yeah. No, we just do like a recap of all of our sessions, let everyone feel invested.
We do what is it, D20?
D20, yeah. Brendan Lee Mulligan, if you're interested. I've got a great D&D OC for you to hear about. Anyway.
And then the last note on that whole thing is that he wanted to be important. He wanted to be known, which is still prevalent.
Still prevalent. So prevalent. And he's starting to get there.
Yeah. Like, he's being known, and then also I feel like Blitz as a character now we didn't say what episode is at the top. The most recent episode is Memons.
Still the Memon musical special.
Yes,
we're trying to make a point of saying that.
Yeah.
So you all don't call us out and be like, actually, he got his scars from... We know that now!
Anyway, so, yeah, I think he's also, like, repairing his relationships and learning that there's more to life than being a star.
Yeah.
Which is important.
Yeah.
Next thing we have...
Oh, wait. I have one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
What did I have?
Good fucking question. I don't know.
Wait. What were... He wants to be... Oh, yeah. It was just about... I was just gonna add that, like... He's, like, in more recent episodes, we've, like, seen people saying, like, oh, you're the imp making a name for himself with your, like, killing business or whatever. Like, just that... Yeah.
Also the fact that making a name for yourself, that's, like, another class divide thing. Like, that's a... self-driven man kind of, like, you know that vibe?
Where it's like, it's gonna bring in this energy of, like, oh, he's an imp, but he's not, like, those imps. He, like, works hard. Yeah. And it's like, okay. I
meant to say self-made.
Yeah.
That's I wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I didn't even realize what you said, but yeah.
Yeah. And then next we have Blitz and Stolas mirroring each other. This is my favorite part about the scene, is Blitz climbing the fucking tree.
Yes.
And sitting like a little cat and listening.
He sits like a little cat and, like, crawls around like a little spider. Yeah.
Blitz climbing, and then Stolas. So Blitz is, like, climbing. He, like, hangs upside down by his tail at one point. He sits like a little cat. He makes little, like, scurry sounds.
Homeboy cannot sit still for 5 seconds.
ADHD motherfucker.
I think, Blitz has the autism ADHD combo, honestly.
Yeah, no, I think, I noted in my head that it was, like, ADHD versus autism. Yeah. And autism is Stolas sitting, reading in the tree calmly. But the way that they're not bothering each other.
Yeah.
Like, they're just vibing.
They're just coexisting.
They're doing, like, parallel play.
They're body doubling. Yeah. Yeah, and also just, like, the different, like, you know, Blitz's life is about performing and, like, you know, that kind of athleticism, basically.
And being
like,
on 24/7.
Yeah, just climbing around, scurrying like a little monkey, like, you know.
I wish I was always scurrying like a little monkey, I won't lie.
Versus Stola's being forced to be so, like, studious and just, like...
And quiet.
Unheard,
and, unseen.
Yeah,
or
invisible.
Was it seen, not heard? Child, that saying. Have you heard that before?
Yeah.
Children are to be seen, not heard?
Yes. But even, his dad doesn't even want to see him, really, so that's why I was trying to,
Real, no, you're real.
Oh, my favorite line in this scene is when Blitz says, like, and I'll hire you, and Stolas goes, you'll hire me? He's just like, yeah, if I feel like it.
Yeah.
It's just like, so that's so interesting, because, like, Stolas obviously has this very innate bias that he's grown up with all his life already of, like, imps are lesser than me, but Blitz doesn't seem to have the understanding, because, like, he probably knows it to some degree, but also, like, he doesn't interact with people outside of the circus, I would imagine. So he probably just interacts with other imps, and then, like, I don't know, do we know, like, who else was in the audience? Was it mostly imps in the audience at this point? I feel like...
No, we meant to check that.
Maybe, like, imps and sinners. Yeah.
I think not Gowishes because they make a big deal about the Gowishes.
Yeah, definitely not people of higher status than him. So, like, he maybe has, like, a little bit of, like, you know, general understanding.
Well, sinners and overlords are technically higher status.
Technically a higher status, yeah.
And then also, like, not, like, deadly sins, but, like, what's the other one?
Royalty?
Regardless, I'm sure it's not the only time.
Yeah.
And also he says kids love the circus, so it makes me think he's brought other kids to the circus.
Yeah. But maybe not in Blitz's lifetime.
That's true.
Stolas has a lot of siblings.
That's true. But yeah, I think also Blitz, from day one, has had this, like, I'm gonna be better.
Yes.
Kind of mentality. I'm gonna be self-made. I'm gonna do great things. And I think that is slightly because he feels it's inferior
yes.
To Fizz and everyone else in the circus. But also, so I think he, A, like you said, could not have an understanding of it, or B, could have an understanding of it because his dad talks about it all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And is a big eat the rich motherfucker.
Yeah.
But could also, and so, sorry, not could also, and so, random alarm started going off. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
So just, like, he's overcompensating almost and being like...
Oh, yeah, being like, yeah, I'll hire you if I want to.
Yeah.
Like, I can do that too. Like,
yeah.
Really proving.
He's also picturing this future life for himself where he's gonna be, like, the shit. So, like, at that point, it's not even gonna matter to him. Yeah.
He's also probably like, this fucking kid thinks he's better than me? This kid just reads books about plants. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm so much cooler.
Also, we put foreshadowing ? Which is interesting. Because, like, I don't know where that would go. Like, how, but, like, obviously him and Stolas, quote-unquote, work together in the sense that he gets the grimoire for him.
Yeah, they have a deal.
So
it's not like, neither of them is technically the boss. And honestly, in the context, technically Stolas would probably be more of the boss.
In that power dynamic. Or at least, obviously they both think it's way different.
Yeah.
From, like, Stolas is just like, I'm just trying to keep him in my life because I love him, and Blitz is like, this motherfucker's using me.
Yeah.
My business is dependent on him wanting to fuck me. Like, so, you know.
Yeah.
But from his understanding, he definitely wouldn't be the one in charge there.
Also, Blitz using sex as a commodity?
Yeah.
Makes me fucking crazy, but that's for another episode, I think. It's not
Yeah.
on these notes.
Oh, also, I wanted to say, just on the... I think it'd be so funny if fucking Alistair went to the circus. I don't know why he's the one I thought of. He's not even one of the ones associated.
No, he would love
the circus.
He does go to the circus.
He'd,
That's
like,
canon, I think.
He'd, like, kill some overlords and then be like, ooh, let me pop in here for a second. Oh, my.
Ooh.
Oh.
Whoa.
Oh. Him and Vox, before they stop being friends, they pop in together.
Vox is, like, they do a really emotional aerial.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do... Sorry. Anyway, I don't know if Circus does emotional aerial, but if they did. And fucking Vox is, like, crying.
Yeah.
And Alistair is like, wow. This is just divine.
Carmilla Carmine would love the circus. Anyway.
Carmilla Carmine, I think, canonically does love the circus.
Yeah.
Her design is the
yes,
circus.
that's what I mean. Anyway.
Also, I realize now that with, like, if people are also has-been fans, we have to be careful saying made a deal. Because we have to specify.
Oh, yes.
They do not have a soul deal.
No. Which is interesting.
It's interesting.
Because from has-been, it's, like, we see sinners making deals with other sinners, for the most part. And it's implied that, vague has-been spoilers, but not really. It's implied, like, when Alistair is making a deal with Charlie, she's like, you want my soul? And then he's like, no. But, like, the implication there is that they could make that deal.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because she's literally the princess of hell.
But also Charlie might not know, because she's probably never been asked.
Yeah, true. But also, it's probably just, like, unheard of, but I don't see why it would physically be impossible if she consented to it, you know?
But also, I don't know if Goetias can make deals.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
It might just be overlords that can do that, or, like, sinners.
Sinners, yeah.
It's just so fascinating.
Oh, but this isn't canon yet, but the theory is that Alistair's deal is with Lilith.
Right.
And so I feel like if Lilith can...
And that's demon royalty, yeah.
Yeah. So... But the point is that it's very likely that there could be a proper, like, soul deal between Blitz and Stolas, but obviously there isn't, because that's not what they have.
Right.
It's just what Blitz kind of thinks they have, you know?
Also, there's a line in Just Look My Way that says, an oath by blood is to hold the tomb is usually what, like, I don't know the lead-up line, but it's talking about what is needed usually to hold the grimoire, and how he's, like, the guardian of hell, and that he's, like, breaking the rules.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting.
So, I think it implies that there should be, but he's not.
Yeah. Which is just so, like, God, if they would have one fucking conversation.
Yeah. And also that parallel, this is a crazy fucking comparison, but that parallel to, like, Angel and Val's whole deal being around, because sex... yes. Just saying.
Yeah. Yerp. Yeah, we're trying not to talk about... We said we'd talk about has-been if it was relevant.
Yeah. We're not even an hour in.
Okay, we're doing good.
We're on page 5.
That's okay. We're getting to the 25 years later right now.
Yes.
That's okay.
I think that's exactly where we're at.
Yes.
The bullet point is depressed Stolas.
Yes, and then bullet point, gay-ass depressed moan.
Yeah, and then the 2 bullet points under that one are, he's so dramatic and I love him so much.
Yeah. He just literally, like, 25 years later.
Honestly, based.
Yeah. Saddest orgasm.
He just came, but, like, really sad.
He just, yeah. When the sex is so bad.
Canonically.
Yeah, true. Yeah. We get a glimpse at his bedroom for the first time.
A full glimpse, yeah.
A full glimpse.
First time.
And this isn't quite present day, but not too far behind. From our understanding. But the room decor is Stella's at this point. Like, Stolas, there's, like, a vanity that we think is Stolas's, because, like, that's where his happy pills are and stuff.
Yeah, that's where he gets all prettied up to go on the date for Ozzy's.
Yeah, and that's the only part of the room with a different color scheme, where it's more, like, his colors, like, blues and purples. But the rest of the room is, like, very Stella-themed, which says a lot about their
it's, like, pink
dynamic.
and royal purples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's very much the one, like, you know, controlling and making the decisions and not letting him have a say in even the tiniest little things.
Yeah. And then also him, like, was that a fight, or does he just give in to her control because he's learned that?
Yeah. Or just because he doesn't even think, it never even crosses his mind that, like, he can make the space his own.
Yeah.
Even.
He's just like, alright.
I want to know when they were forced to marry. I would assume 18?
That would be my guess, too.
So...
well, because Via's 17.
Mm-hmm.
They probably, and it's confirmed that they tried multiple times. Because it's the whole, I'm glad an egg fell out of me, so I don't have to keep pretending I want to fuck his scrawny ass.
Yeah. So
scrawny twig ass, specifically, my bad.
17. Via would have been born, like, 2 years before the circus fire.
Oh.
That's so interesting. Do you think he took her to the circus as a
baby?
baby?
Well, because when
Probably
she was,
not.
like, 5 or 6, that was when she went to Lululand.
Well, wait, this is so... Yeah.
So lined up.
Yeah.
Okay. We are gonna go through our whole timeline at the end. It's in the end of the notes.
I'm gonna, like, mark that down so we don't forget it.
Yeah.
But,
grab a pen.
I'm gonna get a pen. You...
Vamp.
Yeah, vamp.
Yeah, and then the next thing we kind of talked about a little bit is that they like in present day and in the 25 years later they have imp servants, just like they did as like when he was a kid. Mm-hmm. Classism, that's one of the notes.
Yeah,
that's there. Stella is holding one while she's on the phone.
Holding an imp?
An imp?
Yeah.
Is holding the phone, and it looks so scared. Like, scared, as the note I said is, the one holding Stella's phone looks scared for his life. Yeah. Which I would be too.
Wait, so they have to be older than 6 when they're kids then? Mm-hmm. If Via... Because that would mean the circus fire, we say, is about 10 years after when they're kids, just based on how old they look.
Yeah.
But so that would mean that Via is born 8 years after their kids, and that would make them only 14. Like, Stola's only 14-ish.
Hold on. I'm gonna pause this for a second. We're gonna figure this out.
Okay.
So sorry for that little, what is it?
Detour.
No, the...
Pause.
No.
Ah!
It's fine. They both all mean the same thing.
We've cracked the case. We've cracked it.
We rewrote an entire timeline.
Should we
mostly the same thing.
Should we get into that now? While we're
Let me see what we were just talking about. Let's finish talking about this section here.
Okay.
And then this.
Yeah, because we were gonna save it till the end, but we've had some new developments, so
yeah.
But yeah.
So the next thing we had was that Stella's party, the not divorced party, mm-hmm. is in the same room as the chandelier scene when they're kids. Yeah. And that's also where Blitz is brought in. Mm-hmm. So they reunite in that same room, which makes me crazy.
Yeah, which is fucking insane. Yeah, did we said the things about the imp servants and hellhounds, yes. Right? Okay, just making sure.
Oh, and maybe not the hellhounds. Oh, yeah.
Just that the servants and guards are
the guards are hellhounds. Yeah,
the servants
I think I did forget to note that. But yeah. Imps are servants, guards are hellhounds.
Hashtag classism, hashtag class roles, hashtag blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Next we have a thing that Stella says during the party. During sex, mm-hmm. or about sex, not during sex.
Not during sex. Stella is having sex on screen, it's really hot. No.
And she says, he just sits there. He just lays there staring at the wall, and I have to do everything.
It's embarrassing. Yeah, which is just probably not consensual. No. In fact, by definition, not consensual.
The thing is, like, Stolas could have said yes and then still be acting that way, which I still don't think is technically consensual.
No.
But,
if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no.
Right. But also is, like, I just want to know that there is the chance that he is forcing himself, mm-hmm. because he knows he has to birth an heir.
Yeah.
But also, either way, not good.
Yeah.
And I also, just given their vibe, feel like it could have been a bit of that, but I feel like Stella's also doing a bit of force herself.
Oh, yeah. And just knowing how fucking... Just the fact that he loves Via as unconditionally and fully as he does when, like, he could so easily resent her.
Yeah.
Based on, like, the conditions and the circumstances of how she was born. Mm-hmm. But But he's everything. Yeah. I wonder if, like, before she was born, like, he was just, like, so bitter about it, did not care, and then he, like, saw her for the first time and decided he would be filled with love instead. Yeah. And it's just, like, God, so fucking heartbreaking and sweet.
Do you think that Stolas regularly thinks that he needs to break the cycle?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. He is not gonna make her marry some asshole.
No, but also just, like, the break the cycle thing in a human world.
Yeah.
I think he definitely does.
Yeah.
Which makes me fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Do you want to take the next one?
Yeah, Stola also says, I don't have to keep pretending to want to fuck his scrawny twig ass. Like, why is she body shaming him in front of
everybody?
And
also, it's so normal. Like, everyone's like, oh yeah, haha, Stolas.
And just, also, this is their not divorced party.
Yeah.
And she just spends the whole time, like, talking shit about him. And it's like, what are you... She really just wanted a party. But, like, not even pretending. Mm-hmm. That's why, like, we talked about, like, oh, there's, like, they put up a front and stuff. She certainly does not.
No, especially at this point. Maybe, I think it's possible that when Via was younger and they were more... Like, they were probably more of a recognized royal family at that point because they just had a kid and like they were probably more on their up and up of their like their popularity. And we see pictures like at Lululand where they look like a happy family.
Yeah.
But I think now that there's nothing, and also it goes into the vein that no one is gonna like if Stolas were saying that stuff about Stella, people would probably be like, whoa, don't do that. But since Stolas is one, the more powerful one, and the higher class one, like he's a Goetia and she's a step lower than that, and two, that he's the man, they're like no one bats an eye, and I think that's and also he is queer, quite frankly.
It's probably a situation where, like, someone asks Stella about Stolas, and she's like, oh, fuck him, I don't care for him, blah, 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 but people ask Stolas about Stella, and he's just like, oh, yes, that's my wife, and, like, either is, like, just very neutral, or just, like, lies, because, like, you know,
but, like, it's the thing that no one, like, everyone either goes along or doesn't say anything about it, like, no one challenges it.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, that's Stolas and Stella, you know.
Which is so sad.
Yeah. I bet there's probably people who, like, are like, wow, she's a character, or she's a handful, but they're not being like, oh, she's abusive, even though she's putting out so many red flags, just fully, Yeah,
and I think also, like, no one's probably going up to Stolas and being like, hey, man.
Yeah.
Do you need help?
Yeah, no, blink twice if you need help.
And then, if this is what she says in front of everyone, what does she say behind closed doors?
No, literally.
God. And, like, what has she said about his body? Because I'm imagining horrid things. And then also, what does that make him feel about his body? Like, how does he feel about himself, his body, his sexuality?
Yeah. Probably
horrible.
Yeah. It does make you... Because also, like, we, know what he's into sexually, but, like... Not that he's not genuinely into it, but also, like, does he
know what he's into?
Does he know what he's into? Does he feel like he needs to be treated a certain way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it, like, compulsory because that's the only way he's done it before? They try missionary one time. And he's like, whoa.
Yeah.
Stolas is like, why are you not beating me right now?
Yeah.
I think also he acts confident and confident in his sexuality. He wears skimpy things and things like that. Which I think can also be seen as a front. Yeah. Like, he's like, oh, I love my body, and everyone wants my body, and I'm so hot. Yeah. But does he actually think that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then next, at the party, he's very much drinking as a coping mechanism. Literally drinks, like, wine or whatever, and then asks for something stronger and just fully drinks absinthe, which is, by the way, if you didn't know, 45% to 74% alcohol content, and he just takes the bottle. I know this is hell, but, like, oh my god.
For reference, a lot of beers are 5 to 8%.
Yeah, for reference.
Yeah. So that's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, we've obviously, like, talked a lot about, and we'll continue to talk about, like, Blitz's drinking issues and, like, how that comes from his dad and stuff, but Stolas' drinking issues are, like, less, like, touched on directly in canon, but very much there, and it's so... I'm really interested in, like, how those are gonna intersect and relate.
I think also, like, Stolas... Like, there's hints of it when they're at Ozzy's, where, like, Blitz doesn't want any alcohol. And that's something we've talked about a lot. Yeah. But also, Stolas, when he invites Blitz in, is like, I have a bottle of wine. So I wonder how many things, like, either Blitz skips out on or, like, gives in to Stolas for regarding alcohol. Yeah. And because it's, like, there's, like, being an alcoholic and then being a passive alcoholic. And, or, a high-functioning alcoholic. And Stolas is definitely that. Yeah. Whereas Blitz... I don't know what he is now, but then, on the party scene, definitely not high-functioning. Yeah. Also, he just drunk for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, he only took a few sips of the absinthe, but, like, that's gotta do something.
Yeah.
It's fucking absinthe. I'm fine. I'm fine. That's the whole note.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when Blitz and Stolas are, like, walking down the hallway, Blitz is hugging himself like he does after Ozzy's. Yeah. It's very much like a comfort, like, defensive thing.
And he used to use his tail a lot, and, like, Fizz uses his tail. And so I wonder, like, can you imagine, like, those two kids know they're getting in trouble, and Fizz's tail's wrapped around him, and Blitz is, like, hugging himself?
Yeah, why would you say that, man? Yeah. Yeah, and then there's also the pictures on the wall in the hallway. There's Stolas with his dad in the mirror. Like, he wouldn't even take a real picture.
Yeah.
It's just his dad in a mirror in a family portrait. And then the contrast where it shows, like, Stolas and Stella, like, fucking pissed and annoyed and not happy, just straight-faced, and then Stolas and Via being all cuddly and, like...
Stolas has his big, like, open smile.
Yeah,
open beak.
Via's like, yeah. He's so cute. Yeah, we talked about that next point already.
Yeah, I don't know why that's all the way down there.
Yeah, and then... the Blitz's... I'm gonna use Stolas face makes its debut chronologically here, where he like sees the grimoire in Stolas' room and then just like bites his lip, like goes
and
like
he raises his eyebrows, and then he steps forward.
That's the face for I'm going to use this rich owl man.
Yeah, and it's so present in the rest of the show.
Yes.
So it's funny to see its origin.
Yeah. When did you want to do the timeline? After this whole sex thing, or...
Sex thing? We can do it now. I was just wanted to get through that big chunk.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
Alright.
So, timeline. Okay. We've got this down to a science, I think. So, Blitz and Stolas meet. We were initially saying they're about, like, 6, but now we've revised that. We think Blitz is probably, like, 7 to 8, and Stolas is closer to 10. And we say that because... How do we describe... Okay, so we know that the circus fire was 15 years before present day, which would mean that it was 10 years after Blitz and Stolas met, mathematically. Yes. Like, that's
and we
canon.
should note that we know the 15 years because that's what Fizz says in Oops.
Yes. And so, yeah, so we know, since that's the present day is 25 years after they first met, then, like, blah, 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 math. 25 minus 15. So, at the circus fire, Blitz would be about 17, which also makes sense because, like, he still has braces. He's also still there.
Yeah,
so, like,
I don't know that he necessarily would immediately leave when he's 18, but I feel like there's a chance of that, and the fact that he's just passively there, and doesn't, like, leave when he's upset makes me feel that he's a minor still.
Yeah. And then... Because Octavia is 17 years in the present day, she would have been, and the circus was 15 years ago, she would have been born 2 years before the circus fire. And so Stolas would probably be at least 18 when she's born, which is obviously still young, but, like, that's probably when he would have been officially required to, like, marry Stella and produce an heir. So that's why... we think he's 10 when him and Blitz first meet, because Octavia would be born 8 years after that,
right.
And 2 years before the fire. And then, the only other thing, that all pretty much is, like, as close to canon as can be. Mm-hmm. Like, that's all based on canon information,
right.
With, like, a little bit of estimation. So the only thing that's pretty much uncertain is, well, 2 things. One... When Octavia is at Lululand in the flashback of her as a kid, she looks about, like, 4 or 5, maybe 6.
Mm-hmm.
But so that would, if she's, probably not 4, because that would be only 2 years after the circus fire,
right.
And for Fizz to have, like, fully recovered and, like, gotten hired by Memon and, like, all that shit.
Working at Aussie's and then have the bot made based on him at Aussie's.
It's a lot to happen in 2 years. So she's probably closer to, like, 6. Maybe that would be 4 years later.
Yeah.
Just to give it more time. But that's not exact.
That's the one part that we're like, about, but also we feel that's, like, the least important part of the timeline.
Yeah, it's definitely in there somewhere.
Yeah.
We just don't know exactly what age. And that also... Blitz is also there in that flashback, but it's not really obvious how old he is there.
Right.
So, and then the only other thing, when Blitz and Stolas reunite for the first time in this scene that we're talking about now, we know that that is 25 years after they first meet, but we don't know how much time passes between that and the present day. Mm-hmm. It's like not that long. It's essentially like when the time that passed between Blitz and Stolas, like, fucking for the first time, and then where they are now, so, like, how their partnership and deal came to be, and it's not really clear exactly how long has passed there.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably a year or less, just because, like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was something with the 1 year mark that we talked about way earlier in the podcast, Something with fucking moons and shit.
Oh, with Harvest Moon, maybe?
Oh, yeah, because it hasn't been Harvest Moon yet again.
Yeah, yeah, we also have another timeline in the back of this notebook.
It's probably way wrong, right?
No, I think we only put, like, canon stuff, really.
Okay.
We know that, let's see, the freaking, the first episode, Murder Family, is, like, a little bit after January 8th of a year.
Yeah, because of the teacher, but that is in human time, which might not be the same as hell time.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to say that it isn't the same, but there's also nothing to say that it isn't different. Yeah. And then, also, we don't know that it's shortly after January, because January 8th is when, like, the teacher, like, kills and, like, dies and shit.
Yeah.
But then it doesn't say how long she was in hell before she...
Yeah, I feel like it's not long, though. She's still so bitter.
Yeah.
So, like...
Yeah.
It's so high emotion.
But also the other woman is, like, still... Like, she's fully recovered from all that.
That's true. You're right.
That's some sort of timeline. But, like, it's not too long after. Maybe, like, a month or two or something.
Yeah.
And then we know... And this is also in... Oh, no, this is in Hell time. That Harvest Moon would be around September 23rd in Hell time. Because that's when the Harvest Moon, like, the fall equinox is. And so, could, like... Yeah, that's... I don't know, because if that happened, then that would be almost a full year right there.
Right. Yeah.
If the time on Earth is the same as the time in Hell. So, and that's only the first 5 episodes. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, but Season 2, Episode 5, Unhappy Campers, is July 17th in the human world.
So that would be at least a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's definitely been a year.
Yeah.
But probably less than 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So
it's really not that important.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah, the only thing that really affects is the whole Via's age thing. Like, that might explain that.
Yeah.
Like her being a little younger at Lululand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not trying to rush us. We just do have 4 more pages to get.
Okay, let's fucking go. We're doing so well. Okay, we're doing.
All right. So, older Stolas and Blitz is our next bullet point. There's a lot under here.
Yes.
So I did write this note that Stolas literally just wants to talk, which he does, but also he does make the joke about, have you come to ravish me?
Yeah.
So, like, he's not opposed either.
No, like, he's like, oh, I was just joking, but also, who says that immediately without meaning it? Like, oh, are you here to ravish me? Like,
but also, he sits down and he goes, so...
Yeah.
He's so kind and so he's like, la la la, I have a friend.
I think he wants to, like, some foreplay, you know? Like, he wants to, like, actually have a chat, and then that chat turns sexual, and then they Blitz.
He's been reading so many, like, lost long friends to lovers.
Yes! Oh my god. Yeah.
He's so ready for it. He has so much gay panic is my next note.
He's so panicked. Blitz does literally anything, and he's like, look over here!
Yeah, the part where he's like, how scared do you want to... Or how scared... when he's like, so, are you still a circus clown? Yeah. And then he's like...
No, I kill people now.
Oh, how scared should I be?
How afraid do you want to be?
And he's like, oh, well,
fully gets off the couch, yeah. But in that part with the how afraid do you want to be, Blitz slides their hands together, like, to grab his hand, which is, it's time to be real. Sorry. But it's like a little parallel to Ozzy's when Blitz pulls his hand away from Stolas, which is so fucked up. So deeply fucked up.
It is so deeply fucked up. I feel like it's always time to be real during the podcast. I feel like that happened last time, too. But yeah. I think that also... You said their hands pulling away, right?
Yes.
Actually, do you want to take the next one? Because this was all you.
Oh, yes. Zombie Post might be real.
Spreading his legs one?
Spreading his legs? Oh, okay. I'm just going to read what I wrote. Blitz spreading Stolas' legs and crawling between them, and then a sub-bullet point. Audie wrote this in the notes as dick-sucking position, Blitz giving bottom face. No punctuation there, just dick-sucking position, Blitz giving bottom face.
Yeah.
I don't think I really need to elaborate on that.
Yeah, I just wanted you to have credit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Blitz being forced... I'm just going to read this bullet point. It says, Blitz being forced to use Stolas / his family as a kid, and now using him using Stolas for his own benefit.
Yeah.
Anti-royalty, classism, eat the rich kind of thing.
Just kind of how he was raised, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel like
I would love to know the thought process that brought Blitz here on this day.
Yeah, I really, like, why now? Why here? What is, like, because he already presumably had IMP at this point, and it was just a different business. Like, they were killing people in hell. Which, also, why... Like, what was the reason? Who were they killing people for?
Vibes.
Freaking, what are they called? Executioners.
Oh, yeah. That's what
they're killing bugs.
Nifty be like.
Nifty be like. Yeah, Yep, also, it just makes sense with, like... I'd be curious to know how Blitz's dad, got the start with the circus initially, and, like, if he was, like... using people to get to that point of fame. And so if Blitz literally just grew up with that mindset of, like, we are imps, we need to work hard, we need to cheat and break the rules to get what we want.
Yeah, which he definitely
fucking did. It would just make sense where he's just, like... I mean, he's been invited into Stolas' bedroom. I feel like... And Stolas made a joke about wanting to be ravished by him. I feel like it's very easy... This is the same kid who is just like, let's pretend we're pirates.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense for him now as an adult to be like, okay... He might be interested. He's definitely gay. Let's see what I can do with this, you know?
What I could imagine happening, too, is maybe, like, someone came to them and were like, hey, can you kill this person on Earth? And they were like, not right now.
Yeah.
Or if he was like, yes. And then he was, like, thinking, like, how the fuck am I going to do that? And then he was like, that random kid that read that book that one time that said it could bring him to Earth?
Yeah.
I know.
Blitz is, like, there are a lot of things you could say about Blitz, but he is a guy who... looks at information and goes, what can I do with this?
Yeah.
And that's, like, so integral.
Extremely resourceful.
Yes.
Which is really important to his character, I think, but also just really cool.
Thank you for speaking and talking over me, tripping over the word integral.
Real.
I, like, second-guessed myself halfway through, and I was like, integral.
This note is just Blitz pinning him to a wall, dot. What is that even? Oh, that's the bookcase, no?
Yeah, he pins him to the bookcase. He really, like... he really just gets right into it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
This is a guy who is resourceful and just gets right down to business.
Yeah. This is a dude who doesn't have sexual trauma.
No, I was actually going to say, well, if you're good at something, you should probably capitalize. Yeah. Also kind of fits here.
Yeah, also, he definitely doesn't view sex as a commodity.
No, definitely not.
Like, what? Because we don't actually have any canon, like, reason for that. But it's so prevalent.
Yeah.
Because there was the whole theory with Fizz, but we know that's completely out the window.
That's out the window, yeah.
And, like, a lot of the Veronica stuff makes sense now after, like, he was gonna confess his feelings to Fizz, and then he almost fucking killed him. Mm-hmm. So him being stone cold in relationship with Veronica makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But where does that weirdness with sex come from?
Yeah. What happened to him?
Yeah. Which it wouldn't surprise me if it was just, like... I was going to say garden variety, child star, sexual trauma.
Yeah.
Which is such a sentence.
We do know, like, more for Fizz, but we do know that there's a guy canonically sneaking into their dressing rooms as kids, so, like, or as teens.
So it could even just be, like, being repeatedly, like, violated in a voyeuristic way.
And exploited.
Exploited, yeah. Like, that does something to a person.
It really does. And I think also just going back to him, like... he sees things as opportunities.
Yeah.
I think, like, seeing sex as, like, a means to an end and just, like, a thing you do to get what you want, almost, in a way.
And that is such a, like, PTSD kind of fucking response. Like, just in general, like, seeing things as, like, this harm... Like, I have to do this thing that's gonna harm me so that I can get to a better place is, like, very common with CPTSD.
Yeah.
And so that, like, it makes a lot of sense for him. But
totally.
It's like, clocked.
Yes. There are a lot of, like, little fragments that, like, explain a lot of it. But I if there is any more there, I would be interested to know. Like, anything more concrete.
Stolas says, so he says... Call me Blitz or whatever.
Yeah.
Stolas says, wasn't there an O at the end? Like, Blitzo, like a clown name.
Like a clown name.
And he literally drops him.
He literally... Blitz is like, no, fuck off, it's Blitz now. Yeah.
The O is silent now, so call me
Blitz. Stolas barely remembered Blitz's name is so funny.
Yeah.
Also, like, he's probably spent every day of his goddamn life thinking of this guy, but, like, doesn't even remember his fucking name.
Yeah, but also, if he doesn't remember his name, how does that make Blitz feel? Because Blitz remembers his name. He's a fucking prince.
Yeah, like, even if he forgot it, he would be reminded of it throughout his life. Our microphone's falling over a little bit.
Do your job.
I'd like to give a shout out to Davy the dinosaur.
Davy the weighted dinosaur from Target.
Yes, it's Alex's weighted dinosaur stuffed animal, and he holds our microphone every single time we record. So, you don't need a professional setup, kids. No, you just need a dinosaur.
Yeah, we'll get into that at the end. Never mind.
Okay.
So Blitz, when in doubt, bite, and then you wrote this hashtag.
Hashtag who fucking knows? I don't know what that's referring to. When in doubt, bite, hashtag who fucking knows.
And then I added, it worked, so.
Yeah, I guess, we wrote the notes for this episode initially so long ago, so I have no fucking clue what I meant by that. But yeah, we see this here with Stolas, where he literally just bites his neck and Stolas insta-comes.
Yeah. and this is not the only time he does that, like, when he's in danger, too.
Yeah,
like,
with,
he just bites.
With Stryker. He bites Stryker in Harvest Moon.
Which is so cat-core.
He's such a little kitty cat. I love how, like, at 1 minute we'll be like, yeah, so, like, the implications of sexual trauma, and then we're like, so he's a little kitty cat.
Yeah. That's what the audience wants, right, guys?
Yeah, that is literally just the whole podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, kind of going back to, like, the knowing each other's names and stuff, we were wondering, like, how much have they thought about each other in the past 25 years? Were they thinking about each other the same amount, different amounts, at different times? Because, like, especially with this new timeline we've got here, which is pretty solid. So, like, with Stolas being, he would have been, like, 20 during the circus fire, and Blitz is, like, 17, and obviously they have no connection to each other at that point, but they're at, like, totally different stages of their lives. Like, only 3 years between them still, but, like, Blitz is still, like, at his childhood circus, and then his fucking mom dies, and, like, it burns down, and, like, he loses all of that, versus Stolas already has a daughter, and, like, a wife, and is fully, like, proper royalty and independent at this point, and it's just, like, it's just so, because they would have been on, like, not similar tracks, like, very different lives from the beginning, but, like, things diverge very quickly, a lot, and I'd be curious to know how that impacts how much they think about each other over the years.
Yeah, I feel like Stolas would probably think about him less, because he's got so much shit going on.
Mm-hmm. And then also Blitz has Fizz.
Yeah.
And that's, like, it's probably only really, like, I'm sure he still thinks of Stolas, but it's probably only really after the fire that Blitz starts thinking of him a lot again, because he doesn't have Fizz anymore.
Do you think,
doesn't have his mom.
I was gonna say, do you think that he was, like, reminiscing about Fizz and then started thinking about Stolas?
Yeah.
Like,
God, Blitz has fucking no one after that fire.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. You were the only one I had, he says, to Fizz.
Yes, yeah. He didn't have Fizz. His mom is dead. Barbie hates him and is made in rehab at some point.
I also don't know that his dad. I don't know what the fuck happened with his dad.
They don't say.
And not that he'd want to be hit with his dad.
Yeah, exactly.
But that also makes me wonder, like, if he's 17 when that fire happens, is he just thrusted into adulthood?
Yeah.
Like, he just has to get a job?
Yeah. Like, where does he go? What does he do? Does he immediately start up IMP, or does he...
No, he goes
he goes to Lululand. But that's a few years after the fire.
But how long did he work there?
You mean, did he work there before the Fizzbot got there? Oh, interesting. That would make sense, because I can't imagine he'd go there when the bot is already there, unless he was, like... Especially because
he's, like, really fucking annoyed by the bot.
Yeah.
You can see.
Yeah.
Also, the kid's canonically running from him in Lululand.
Yeah.
We need to touch on that later.
Yeah. Like, what was Homeboy doing?
Yeah.
Maybe he was just really fucking bitter and annoyed all the time, and none of the kids wanted to talk to him. Yeah. Also, the fact that he has a fucking balloon cart at Lululand is so fucking...
Do you think he makes warm horses?
And banana puddings?
Or do you think he learned how to make legs?
He probably knows, but he probably still makes them sometimes.
Yeah.
Or maybe not, now that Fizz has lost all of his limbs, maybe he doesn't want that.
Yeah.
God, the foreshadowing was right fucking there. He makes
little warm horses and, like, this is Fizz. God. Oh, God. Anyway, going back to the sex as a commodity thing, we also had the note for that, with the quote that Blitz says, "What do you want me to do to you?"
Yeah.
He does, like, there's no point in their interaction where he aims for any pleasure for himself. It's all like, what do you want me to do for me? What do you want me to do for you? Like, and just thinking about others. And I feel like that says something about sexual trauma.
It really does. Also, that's the opposite of what he does with Veronica.
Yeah.
Granted, a very different relationship, but that's fully, like, canonically no reciprocation.
Yeah.
And, like, there's different reasons for that, but that's interesting that, like, with, you know, Stolas has always been a transactional thing to him.
Yeah.
You know, obviously that's not what he wants it to be, but that's what he thinks it has to be, and what he thinks Stolas wants it to be. Where he's just like, yeah, I'm gonna do whatever this guy wants because I need something from him. Versus, I'm curious what, I don't know. Him and Vraska, very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Really want to know more about that situation.
Yeah, me too.
I think also we talked at one point about, like, Blitz's sexuality and how that relates to it, and, like, if he's actually, like, just fully gay, and...
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, because he's, like, sort of Word of God canon pansexual.
Yeah.
Which I think we've gotten into that before.
Yeah, we have. It's on the little Instagram and stuff. But, yeah, I think that would be a thing we'd have to, like, really deep dive to get a solid theory on, but it is something we have talked about.
Yeah, just that, like, Vraska's the only woman we know him to have been with.
Yeah.
And...
Or had feelings for in general. Like, we haven't had any comments where he's like, a wooga.
Yeah. And
except for the whole Millie Moxie thing, but that's
true.
That's a man and a woman.
That's a man and a woman, and also he mainly just wants to be their friends.
Yeah, and also that's another thing, seeing sex as intimacy, like, as one of the only ways to be intimate with someone. Is... And
even Veronica, like, all that we know about their relationship is that he did not provide anything, really. Yeah. Just, like... I mean, he used her for her credit card for the horse lessons, but, like, other than that, like, no reciprocation, no anything. And even in, like, present day, like, when he sees her again, he's just like, Veronica, like, doesn't give a shit, even as everyone else is like, she's a famous pop star, and he's like, it's Veronica.
Yeah. Especially because I feel like he knows he fucked up.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I want to know more about Veronica. She's so fucking cool. Yeah.
Hard pivot, back to Stolas. Stolas is absolutely obliterated by the smallest bit of intimacy with a man, or someone just trying to give him pleasure.
Literally, just anyone who's not, like, you know, quote-unquote, doing all the work, waiting for an egg to fall out.
Yeah, like, someone who is not actively abusing him.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, granted, Blitz is still trying to get something out of it, but also, like, it's not non-consensual.
Yeah.
It's very much wanted, and... Like, yeah.
Yeah. What are we doing?
Fucking nothing.
He's literally laying on a bed.
No, they literally haven't even started yet, and he's just like, what are we doing? Like, keep it in your pants for 5 more seconds. The next
note is, where the fuck did Stolas learn his sex lingo?
Gay erotica, probably.
Yeah. And then fetishization. Let's get into that.
Oh, wait. Can I, on the gay erotica, we didn't include this, because I just... Canon or not, the idea of Stolas having, like, a tiny little rebellious period in his teen years, like, right before he was married off to Stella, where he starts, like, sneaking out and, like, having sex with bitches. I don't know if it makes any canon sense, but I would love for that to be the truth, where he finally has, like, his proper gay awakening. Because there's something really devastating about that, where, like, he goes out and, like, even if it's just one guy, like, has a nice experience for the first time ever, and then it's like, alright, marry Stella now. Now you're trapped for several years.
Yeah. I could see that being canon, but I also feel like Stolas would probably avoid doing something like that. Yeah. 1, because he doesn't want to get fucking disowned for being gay.
Yeah.
And 2, for the fact that he knows, and he's known forever, that this is going to be a marriage that he has to be in. Yeah. So he probably is trying to protect himself. Like, if I don't ever do that, then I'll never know what it's like.
Yeah, totally. I think that makes more sense logically. I just do.
But it is fun.
I want to see him as a teenager in general. I'd be so curious. Because we see Blitz and Fizz, obviously. Yeah. I want to see Stolas as a cunty little 16-year-old.
Yeah, I was going to say, he would have a little choker on.
Yeah. Oh my god. His dad is looking at him like, interesting.
Which one is this? Is this mine?
Yeah. This fucking slur. We were discussing if we've said slurs on this before.
I feel like we must have. There's no way we've been talking about this show for this long and we've never said a slur.
I know. I won't drop it just in case, but, like, gay people, you know what I'm talking about.
The next note we have is kinky little imp.
Yeah. You're a kinky little imp, aren't you? Which is, it's fetishy.
Yeah.
Fetish.
Even if it's not intentional on Stolas' part. Like, he might not know the negative connotation with that and everything.
Yeah.
But also, I can't imagine how horrible that makes Blitz feel.
No, it's very much another nod toward that, like, bias and, like, classism and, you know, all that he's grown up with his entire life that Stolas has.
Yeah.
Like, it's
and he's also
part of
always had an obsession with imps, which is weird.
Yeah.
And it is partly because I'm sure he envies imps being able to just, like, be in the world and, like, not be cooped up in a castle and stuff like that, but it is weird as fuck.
Yeah. I see a lot of the discourse about Helluva, not that I look into it too closely, but a lot of it is about, like, people being, like, you know, Stolas and Blitz either aren't good for each other or, like, you know, are we expected to root for them? Like, so a lot of people just aren't into it, and I think it's not quite so concretely black and white. I think their dynamic is so interesting. Not that it's not perfect or even good in a lot of ways, but that's, like, what makes it compelling. It really annoys me, you know, like, you can have your opinion, but it really annoys me when people are just like, they don't work, and it's like, but they could, but they could
if they had one fucking conversation, but they're not going to have a fucking conversation, and it logically makes sense that they're not going to.
Yeah.
And that's why it's such well-written.
And the way that it relates to the larger themes of the show regarding, like, the classism and stuff that we've seen building up more and more, like, it's really fucking interesting, because, like, Stolas is always gonna have that internalized bias.
Yeah.
To some, like, even if they have that one conversation that finally, you know, they get their shit together, like, that's not gonna fix everything.
Right.
That's something that Stolas is gonna be working through for the rest of his life, and something that Blitz is going to have to, like,
be patient with.
Be not even patient with, just, like, you know, like, I don't, that's, like, sort of a sacrifice he has to make, in a way, but while also, like, I don't know, it's interesting. It's very interesting. They've got a lot going on, and I think it's fun, and I think, when people say they don't have chemistry, it's like, they do. It's just weird, complicated, and fucked.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
Neither of them know how to do emotions, especially Blitz.
It's equally annoying when people are like, oh my god, they're perfect. Like, they are not perfect.
No, like, I would not want them to get together right now.
No.
That would not be good for either of them.
No.
I'm very excited to see what happens when Stolas gives Blitz the crystal.
Oh, dude.
Because that's going to be so pivotal.
I cannot wait for full moon.
Vivzy, drop it.
Vivzy, drop it.
Drop it.
Vivzy, leak it to us.
Only us. We won't even talk about it on the podcast.
No. Just give us
Sorry, listeners.
Sorry.
And then, just going back to the kinky little imp thing, it also gives the same vibe as the impish little plaything in Truth Seekers, which is something that has just always irked me so bad.
It's
gross.
It's gross.
And like, I'm gonna protect and save my impish little plaything.
Yeah.
Like, you helpless little baby.
Yeah. And Blitz even, I think it's after that. Or, I think it's an oops when he's like, he just sees me as a plaything.
Yeah,
like, that's,
as a toy.
That obviously, like, stuck with him.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just, like, and it either, like, implying that Stolas has, like, said that before, or just that, even if he didn't, like, that one interaction, like, that is very
and
notable.
also, obviously, like, Blitz is gonna run with whatever goes with his fear-based schema of the things that is protecting him, and that does, but also, that's, like, if I was called someone's little plaything, I wouldn't fucking date them now. But, like,
Yeah. Quick note, how long have we been recording?
Hour and a half. Can we get through?
I don't know that we can, just looking at what's left. Because we still have all of the ballad, and we're not even there yet.
Yeah, let's finish this section, and then this is going to be a three-parter. But we might be able to loop it, chunk it, put it together.
With Seeing Stars?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. We tried really hard, but this is going to be a three-parter.
We got really distracted by the timeline that did not need to happen right now, but it's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's just talk about...
We'll get to the current time. Yeah, okay.
Okay, you want to take BDSM?
BDSM. Has Stolas done BDSM stuff before? Probably not, unless, like, you know, my little headcanon about him running out of the castle to fuck
I could
boys.
see Stella being into BDSM in an abusive way.
Right, but I mean, like, well, yeah, that's true. But in a healthy, consensual context, like this, No.
Yeah.
Probably
but
not.
I feel like he probably associates that as the same.
Yeah.
Like, when it's not, it's consensual.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like he's like, oh yeah, this is just what you do during sex.
Yeah. Has Blitz done BDSM stuff, especially as a top as he is in this scenario? To be able to bamboozle this man so quickly and easily is what's in the notes. Was that from the notebook?
No, that was from me.
That's so good.
It's right.
No, it is. Bamboozle is an interesting word choice.
He is fucking bamboozled.
He's freaking, yeah.
But no, it's the way that he's quickly like, I'm gonna tie this guy up, and which obviously goes into like a little bit of the IMP stuff as well. Yeah. But the way he's just immediately into it, immediately knows what to do.
Oh yeah.
Like
again, he takes in the information, he sees what's around him, and he uses it instantly. Like,
right.
That's who
Blitz is. So great. But also, if he canonically didn't reciprocate with Veroska, then where has he been doing BDSM?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
likely had other partners at this point.
Yeah.
But like,
who and when and why and what was the deal?
Yeah, we need more info.
Yeah. And then he says, I can do this real fast, and then the title card says, morning after, quote unquote, real fast. It was not, in fact, real fast. He stayed the night.
And then did he enjoy the sex? Did he enjoy the intimacy, the care? And like, what drew him to stay?
Yeah, why did he stay? Did he just fucking fall asleep? Because Mans has never had a good night's sleep in his life.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Do you think Stolas, like, gave him a head pat and he just conked out?
He, like, got him some water and Blitz was like, what? What the fuck are you doing? Get out of here. And then Stolas, like, gives him a pat on the head, tucks him in. He's like, what? What are you? Yeah.
He goes, fucking, what are you
doing? I don't know, horses. Yeah. And then there's Stolas says the fucking line in the morning.
That was the sound. I wrote the found.
The found.
That was the sound of a fucking divorce. Manic laugh is what I put. You put finally feels free in the notes. I didn't know if you wanted to talk more about that.
I just, like, he had that experience that was probably his first indication of, like, oh, it doesn't have to be this life that I've resigned myself to with Stella. Like, he already has Via at that point, obviously. So he's just like, all right, I can get out of here. And then also, worth noting, proceeds to not get out of there.
Yeah.
Like, they stay married until the present day, which, again, we don't know how much time passes, but a good amount.
But I think it is implied that they're actively, like Stolas actively is like, we're getting the divorce, and Stella's like, no.
Yeah.
But then it's not till the end of this episode in current time. Like, you're right.
Yeah.
That actually officially happens when he stands up for himself. Mm-hmm. Go King.
Go King.
Also, the second thing I have after the fucking divorce is a note that says, I love him so much he is slaying, you tell him.
You tell him. Fuck it up, white boy.
Fuck it up, white boy.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're gonna cut there. We've got just the current time till the end of the episode.
Which is a good amount of notes still.
Yeah, a little bit is the timeline, which we already did, but... Yeah, we're gonna end it there. I think we will be able to merge, that's what I was going for. We're gonna be able to merge it with Seeing Stars, because we don't have a lot for Seeing Stars.
Yeah.
There's, like, some big things, but a lot we've already talked about, quite frankly. It's just, like, reinforcing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking for Helluva Q&A that we could do a general, like, what would you like in a Q&A episode? Mm-hmm. Like we have been talking about, because we've been getting a lot of comments throughout the entire time we've been doing the podcast, asking about, like, how do we record, and, like, more about us as people, and how did we find the show, how do we find our information, and just general stuff like that. So we'll touch on as many of them as we can find, but also, if you...
Sorry.
If you have any specific ones, even if you've said it before, please say it in the Q&A.
Yeah.
If for some reason the Q&A was weird last week and last episode didn't work for a little while. Mm-hmm. So if that happens, or if you just don't want to use that, you can also message us on Instagram, comment on one of our posts. Mm-hmm. There's so many ways to do it.
The whole shebang.
Our
Instagram is at AA Discussions. If you somehow don't know it yet.
Also, I think we might put a picture of our timeline on the newsletter.
Yes.
So go subscribe to that.
Yeah. In our highlights on Instagram, or on our link tree on our Instagram.
Just go to our fucking Instagram.
All the shit is there.
Yeah.
Sign up for the newsletter, and then you'll be the first to hear about all of the shit we're up to, and also get a nice little recap of what we've been up to the month before. So if you somehow missed anything, then it'll be like, oh, by the way.
And you get to learn more about us, you perisocial motherfuckers.
And sometimes there are pet pictures.
Sometimes, yeah.
So that's a good enough reason to
Actually, I think I'm going to put a really cute picture on the newsletter.
Oh, yes. Then you'll have to subscribe to find out what it is.
Yeah. I pointed to it, but you guys don't get to fucking know.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for listening. We will see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks for part 3 and possibly seeing stars.
Yeah. All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
I cut you off. Sorry.
Stay sexy.